Hi everyone, today I'm making Edikaikong or vegetable soup. Here I have beef, goat meat and cow skin, also known as Pomo. I'm going to add some chopped onions. I use my mini chopper to chop it up. I'll season this with some bouillon cubes. And here I have habanero pepper and yellow bell pepper. The reason I'm using this yellow bell pepper is because I don't have the yellow scotch bonnet pepper, that sainted pepper, and I just wanted to give myself the illusion of the yellow scotch bonnet pepper, which is why I'm using this yellow bell pepper. You can totally skip it, but I'm doing this for me. Actually, I didn't plan to make this video, but I just felt, whoa, I wouldn't lose anything by showing you guys. So I've just chopped it up a bit, and now I'm going to add a little bit of it into the goat meat mixture. You could actually use Cameroon pepper for this, but there's a lot of pepper there, so I lose nothing by adding it in. I'm going to cover this and let it release its own juices while I move to preparing the rest of the ingredients. Here I have my dried fish. This is asa fish, also known as ejalson in Yoruba, and dried catfish. I'm going to soak this using hot water and debone all of them. You guys, I'm not using all of this fish for this particular soup. I'm cooking two soups, so once it is deboned and cleaned, I will only use half of it. Okay, I let the fish soak for about 10 minutes while I check on the meat. The reason I always allow my meat to release its own juices before adding water is so that it can soak in some of the seasoning I've added. You would notice that if you don't do this, your meat might not be as sweet, especially if you're eating it immediately. But you have to leave it for like the next day before it soaks in the juices if you are not marinating. So this really helps. I find it helpful. Now the meat is going to continue to cook while I go ahead and clean this fish and debone it. I'm doing this off the camera. As you can see, I have deboned it. Now it's time to add in the fish into the meat. So I advise that you check your meat and ensure it is almost done before you do this. You might be wondering why I added goat meat and beef together, because goat meat is supposed to cook faster than beef, right? But you guys, the goat meat here in Ireland, if you're in Ireland, you need to testify to this, is even sometimes tougher than the beef. If you add it later, you're going to have a very, very tough goat meat. I don't know how they did it, but back in Nigeria, goat meat cooks in about 30 minutes. But here, oh my god, that story for another day anyway. So I've added the stockfish and a bit of the dried fish. I'll give it a mix and then I'll cover to continue to cook. Another thing you can do, if you don't want to add the goat meat later, you can add all of them. That is if you are in Nigeria where goat meat is softer. You can add them all in, and once the goat meat cooks, you take it out and let the rest of the meat continue to cook. My mom brought this water leaves for me from Nigeria, so I wasn't about to let it go to waste, which is why I'm making this video. I have ugu also brought from Nigeria. You might notice it is not as fresh as what you would go and buy today in the market. Yes, that's because this is 3 days after she arrived from Nigeria. I had a lot of things to do, so I could not cook it on that very day. So don't come for me. So I have cleaned and cut my ugu and water leaves, and at this point all of this is done. You can see that the water is almost dry, so I'm going to add the rest of the pepper mixture and some palm oil. I'm adding about 3 cooking spoons of palm oil, and you guys, this particular palm oil is so good. If you want to know where I got it from, let me know in the comments and I'm going to tell you. So I'll give this all a good mix. Add some crayfish powder. This is about half cups of crayfish powder, so I'm adding a little more than half of it into this meat mixture. I'll give it all a mix and let it cook for about 3 minutes just to wake the palm oil up. So I'll cover and let it cook. At this point, you want to taste and adjust the seasoning if you need to, but for me, the crayfish is going to do most of the job. So I'll add my water leaves first, because water leaves have a lot of water. And another thing you guys should note is that the water was completely dried before I added the palm oil. Usually for Edikaikong, the palm oil and the juices that comes from the water leaf is the only liquid you need for your soup. You don't want the meat stock. It'll all completely dry up, and the liquid from the water leaf will call out the juices from the meat, if you know what I mean. And also, you don't want your water leaf to be dripping water before you add it into the soup. You want it to be almost dry, so you can use a salad spinner. So I allowed that water leaf to cook for about 3 minutes. Then I added my ugu and the rest of the crayfish powder. Taste and adjust the seasoning if you need to. Turn off the heat and take the soup off the heat. You don't want to start cooking the ugu leaves. Please, if you have not liked this video, hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in my next video.